Welcome to another episode of our brand new series Mini Hacks Solved. And in this episode, we are going to solve the hack, show the word cloud inside an Einstein bot. But first, what are mini hacks? Mini hacks is one of the most popular hands-on areas at Dreamforce and Trailblazer DX. Once attendees come into this area, they can pick a hack based on their expertise or skill level. And this hack contains a small business problem and a set of requirements on how to solve this problem. And these requirements are not as detailed as they are on Trailhead. They just tell you what has to be done, but not how it has to be done. Let's now look at the requirements of this hack. This mini hack builds on top of the work done for the previous mini hack, that is build a word cloud using LWC. If you haven't watched that video, I would strongly recommend you watch it first by clicking the link in the description below. So now that you've built that Lightning Web component with the word cloud, the business now wants you to use the same component and embed it inside an Einstein bot. And that's what is present in the requirements. So make sure you've created the word cloud component following the instructions earlier, that is the previous video. And now you're supposed to build an Einstein bot that shows the following. First, it must show a greeting message. Maybe, hi, I'm so-and-so bot, what do you want to do? Then a question asking the user to select an object, that is account, contact or lead. And then a question asking the user to select the number of records to show. So if you remember in the previous mini hack, we have dragged and dropped that component in the app builder, and we've used the app builder to supply the component with the parameters, that is the object name and number of records. Now we are supposed to do that using the Einstein bot itself. And once both the questions, that is the object and number of records, are answered, you're supposed to show the same word cloud inside the Einstein bot. Let's see how that's done. But before that, I think the requirements also list down a few handy tips. First, it says don't bother setting up chats and deployments manually. Once you try to preview a bot, it guides you to the steps in the wizard. An important thing to note, so in this hack, when we are solving it, I'm not going to dive deep into how do you create an Einstein bot, what are the uses, benefits, how do you set up chats, how do you set up deployments. So there's a lot of setup that you need to do to get Einstein bots working. So, and all of that is available as a Trailhead module, and I've also linked that Trailhead module in the description below for you to check out. So ideally here, the tip says that you don't need to do that because the preview wizard guides you through it. We want to see how that works. Second one, it says disable the pre-chat form. Pre-chat form is something that is shown to you before the chat with the bot even begins, so that the bot knows who you are, what you're trying to do. And that's something that takes up a little bit of time when you're trying to test your bot over and over. So the tip here is to disable the form when testing it for this particular use case. Now when testing from the preview pane, you might want to add a domain to cars to allow static resources to be loaded. Again, I think these are tips that you'll find handy during development. But overall, I think let's get started and see how to get things done. First and foremost, here we are in the org in which we have previously deployed the word cloud component. You can see it in action here. Now let's add this component into an Einstein bot. For that, there are a few steps that you need to take. Again, all of this will be covered in the Trailhead module in great detail, so I'll just go over them at a very high level. So first things first, you need to ensure that chat is enabled in your org. So from setup, go to chat settings and click on enable chat. And next, you're supposed to deploy this chat somewhere. So there needs to be a public facing site using which this chat window itself is shown. So we need to create that. We would be creating experience cloud sites. Let's go to digital experience settings and enable digital experiences. So once digital experience is also enabled, you can create a sample site on which your chat bot is supposed to be shown on. And there are no prerequisites for all of this. You can choose any template to create this site. So let me choose customer service because that's the closest thing for this use case. I'll just give it a name demo. So once the site is created, there is nothing much you need to do with it. All you need to do is know the URL of the site. You can copy that and we can go back to setup. So to create an Einstein bot, go to Einstein bots from the setup and enable Einstein bots using this toggle button. It's going to ask you to try out Einstein because Einstein is the one that's going to power the bots. You need to accept the terms and conditions to enable Einstein in your org. So once you do that, Einstein bots is going to be enabled. Now scroll a little bit to the bottom and click on create a new bot. So we need a very simple bot. So let us choose standard bot and click next. Then let's choose start from scratch. Then give the bot a name. So we'll call it a word cloud bot. And the bot is going to use English language. And let's click next. And there's some basic stuff that the bot asks you to create. Again, all of this you can learn about in the Trailhead module. So here it's going to ask you to select an existing deployment, but this is completely optional for now. So let's skip it and click next. And in this screen, it shows you a list of predefined dialogues that it is going to create. Just click proceed. And once these dialogues are created, you'll be able to click on finish and start setting up the bot. So now that a bot is created, you're going to first see the welcome message that gets created as a part of the welcome dialog. So here all it's going to do is just show, hi, I'm a word cloud bot, a digital assistant. And then it's going to start another dialog, that is the main menu. So within the main menu, it's right now blank. And here is where we are going to start creating our questions for the bot. From the requirements, it needs to show a greeting message, which it has already done. Then it needs to ask a question regarding the object selection. So let's do that. Let's click on question and let's type in the question. Choose an object, and then the choice must be static. Display as buttons is good, or let's display it as a menu. The choice should be account, contact, and lead. So this is exactly how it's going to be shown to the user. A message called choose an object will be shown along with these three buttons. Now the moment the user clicks a button, that response must be recorded somewhere, and that's what you do in response storage. So here it asks you to select an entity. So right now, because it's a text entity, you can choose text and save the answer to a variable. And since we haven't declared any variables, let's create a new text variable. So those of you who are familiar with flows, I think this UI looks very similar. All you need to do is create the required variables to store the output in. So the type is going to be custom and the name is selected object and save. So our first question is done, and then we need to ask the next question, which is select the number of records to show. Again, a static choice. This time we need to add multiple choices for numbers 1 to 15, because if you remember from the previous requirements, the number of records shown must be between 1 and 15. So let's start by adding all the different choice buttons. So here you go, we've created a choice with 15 buttons, and then of course you need to store this into another variable. So this time the output is going to be in the form of a number, and again we need to create a new number variable, and we are going to call it num records and save. Now ideally, after capturing both of these answers, you need to be showing the word cloud. But before doing that, I want to quickly show a message with the values that we have captured, so that I can test if the current configuration is working correctly or not. So I'll show a message. I'll say you have chosen, and then we can use merge fields to show different variables. And num records. Now let me click on save, and I want to preview this bot, and it says you'll have to activate the bot to preview it. So let me do that. And then, like it's mentioned in the hints or helpful tips, it's going to prompt me to set up chats. So let me click this button and go with the wizard. So I'll click on start. It says create a chat queue. So I'll say demo queue, demo chat queue, and I'll add the user to it. I'll click next. Okay, I need a name for this, bot demo. And then it asks about the workload. We can just click next, and the website URL. So here is where you're going to paste the URL of the community you have previously created. Next, it asks you to select the type. You can choose whatever you want. It is irrelevant for our use case today. Let's click next. We don't need offline support. So let's click next, and it's almost finishing up. So like I mentioned, there are a lot of steps involved in setting up chat, but for our use case, we don't need to worry in detail about all of those. So click next again, and done. So as you can see, once the chats and deployments have been set up in the background, it now shows you a button called Chat with Expert, and the moment you click on it, it shows you a pre-chat form. We will disable this a little bit later, but for now, let's fill in some basic details and start chatting. And you can see the bot has started chatting with us. Hi, I am a word cloud bot, which is the welcome message. And then it's asking us to choose an object, which we have configured right here. So let me choose account. And then it's going to ask me to select the number of records, and it's going to show me these 15 buttons that we've configured here. So let me choose 4, and then it should show me the message. So here it says you have chosen account and 4. So I've configured this bot correctly. The bot seems to be working, but that's all out of the box, point and click. Now we have a major task in front of us, which is embedding a Lightning Web Component inside this bot. So how do you do it? So think of it this way. In Salesforce, you have the standard new button, edit button, which has its own functionality, but you can override that using a Lightning Web Component. Very similarly, in this chat, all of the text messages that you're seeing, treat them like a standard component, and you will be able to override these standard text messages with a custom Lightning Web Component. Now, how do you create this custom Lightning Web Component that can be used to override these chat messages? So for that, you'll have to use the Lightning Snap-in base chat message base component. Okay, within this documentation, you can also see there is a bunch of sample code. All you need to do is copy paste this sample code into your own component. Now, what this sample code does is it mimics the standard behavior. So on top of this, you will be able to add your additional customizations. Let's do that. So first things first, let me create a new component. Create a Lightning Web Component. I'll call it custom chat message. And I'll copy paste the exact content. So the HTML file I'll replace with this. JavaScript I'll replace with this. and additionally there is some CSS as well. So let me create a new CSS file, custom chat message.css, and this is the basic code that we have copy pasted from the documentation. But let me make a small change here. I'll say this is a custom component, so that you'll notice the difference when I use this component instead of the standard component. So with this, let me deploy. So force source push and done. So now what we can do is, from the setup, we'll have to go into embedded service deployments in order to override the standard component with the custom one. Again, all of this is pretty well documented. So if you refer to the documentation, you'll know all of these steps. So we open the deployment settings, and inside that there is a section called chat settings. Let's click on edit. And here you can notice that there is a pre-chat page. As recommended by the requirements, you can disable this so that you'll directly jump into the chat instead of filling the pre-chat form. And if you scroll to the bottom, you can see a section called customize with lightning components. So here you can see you can customize all these different components like the pre-chat, minimize chat, chat messages, and chat header. What we are going to be doing now is overriding the standard chat messages component with the custom one. And we are not able to see this component. Why is that? Because we might have forgotten quite an important step when creating the component, which is updating the meta file. So we need to copy paste this into the meta file here. So is exposed is false, so it's a private component, so obviously it wasn't shown to us. So we make this change and push. And if you notice, the target is a lightning snap in chat message, which is a new target which we don't use quite a lot. So now let me refresh this page. And edit, and now you can see the custom chat message component, using which you'll be able to override the standard chat messages. So we select this, click on save, and now we go back to our Einstein Bot builder and restart. Because we have disabled the pre-chat form, it is no longer being shown and the bot is directly taking charge. Now, as you can see, the text messages look slightly different because we are not using the standard component anymore. Einstein Bot is using our custom component to show all the text messages. And notice the message that we have put in our custom component is also being shown here. Let's select an option, and you can see for every text message, it's the same. Now with this in mind, how do we make a change so that instead of showing the standard text over here, we show a lightning web component? So let's jump into the source code for that. Notice there is a property called message content.value which holds the actual text message that the bot is showing. And this value is being rendered using the lightning formatted rich text base component. So everywhere that a text message is being shown, this is the base component that is being shown along with this value. But now for our use case, what we want is that certain messages must be shown using the lightning formatted rich text base component, like your welcome messages, questions, answers. But whenever it comes to the answer that is specific to the word cloud, we must show the word cloud component instead of showing the formatted rich text. So the way we can do that is, the only value that we'll get in the component is the actual message. So we can code the message in such a way that we can filter based on the message that is being received. So for example, if the message is word cloud, we show the word cloud component. But if the message is anything other than word cloud, we show the lightning formatted rich text component. So that way, using the actual message in the bot, we'll be able to decide whether we have to show the rich text component or the word cloud component. So let's do that. So within connected callback, we put an if condition that says if this dot message content dot value is equal to word cloud, then this dot show word cloud is equal to true, else this dot show word cloud is equal to false. And then we create a show word cloud property and initialize it to false. And then inside this component, we put a template if true tag and say if true show word cloud. We show the word cloud. If not, we show the formatted rich text. Now, because we are using the same org in which the word cloud component is present, we can directly refer to that component, see recent records. So here is how we have modified the standard functionality. Again, to recap, we are going to look at the message value, that is the message that is being sent by the Einstein bot. And if the message is word cloud, we are showing the word cloud. If not, we are showing the rich text. And that is what we have done in the HTML also. If it's word cloud, we are showing the word cloud component. If not, the rich text. But we are not done. We haven't passed any attributes to our word cloud component. As you know, our word cloud component expects an object name and number of records as two parameters in order to show the word cloud. So how are you going to do that? It's actually very simple. Again, we only have to look at the message itself. So instead of just sending word cloud as a message from the bot, we will decide on a particular format. So for example, let's say the message from the bot could be word cloud :account :10. And we are going to read this message. And if the message is in this format, we actually split this string. And now we know what the account is and what the object is, what the limit is, and then pass those values. So instead of doing value is equal to word cloud, now we do value, let's say starts with word cloud, then const split arr is equal to message dot value dot split, then we create two properties, one for object name and one for num records. We say this dot object name is equal to split array of 1. This dot num records is split array of 2. So this way we are able to get the message and get the additional values from the message itself. And let's pass these properties as parameters to our recent records component. All right. Now everything for now looks good. Let us push this component and update the Einstein bot to show this message as an answer to both the questions. So we go back here, we close this preview, and of course we'll have to update the color of this message because the text is definitely not readable. So let's deactivate it And now update this message using our predefined format. So we say selected object, number of records. So word cloud colon object colon number of records. This is going to be our message. And let me quickly change the color of the chat messages as well, because I don't like them. Okay. Okay, now let's activate the bot and preview. Okay, now you can see the updated colors are coming in. Hi, I'm a word cloud digital assistant. Choose an object. Select the number of records to show. Let's say 3. We are now able to see the recent records component. The label recently accessed accounts is coming in perfectly, but then I'm not able to see the word cloud yet. Now if I go and inspect, I am able to see that there is a course error that has come up, and I remember the requirements talking about this. So we should be adding this domain to course. So let's do that. The domain is going to be Power Enterprise Dev.scratch. Now let's go back and refresh the page and try it again. So let's choose an object, number of records, and there you go. You can now see the recent records component, which is the word cloud, inside an Einstein bot, which pretty much sums up what we are supposed to do for this mini hack. This is not the only solution to this hack. There are many other solutions, and each and every person's code is different, thought process is different. So if you have better ways of doing this, please do let me know in the comment section. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to get notified whenever a new episode of our brand new series Mini Hacks Solved comes out.